Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Yoga in the Park with me, Micki Josi, and then this is my husband, Christian, on the Ravastram. So let's go ahead and start out in a restorative shape. So you can actually come to lie on your back, and you might either walk your feet as wide as the mat, allow your knees to tent together. This is called constructive rest pose, with you lying flat on the back. Or maybe you want to bring the soles of the feet to touch and allow the knees to open wide. So either option, and you could explore one and change your mind and go back to the other. So either Supta Baddha Konasana, that's with your feet, soles of the feet together, knees apart, or knees tenting together, feet wide apart. That's constructive rest pose. So thanks everyone for coming and joining me today. I just want to remind you that this is your very own practice, and so you can always feel free to modify, change anything. And another valid way to practice yoga is actually to relax the whole time. If you wanted to just lay on your back and feel the earth rise to support you, that would be another great option. If you have a sense that you have an intention for your practice today, you might bring that intention to mind. This month of July, I've been studying the niyama called Santosha, which means contentment. Yoga is so much more than movement and poses. It's also breath and some ethical philosophy. So the yamas and the niyamas are basically yoga's instruction book on how we can live our best life interacting with the world and in our own inner landscape interacting with ourselves. So if you'd like to use the intention of Santosha contentment, just have a short reading from the book by Deborah Adele. True freedom and contentment begin to find their way to us when we can see things as they are, neutral, and not spend so much energy manipulating things according to our preferences. I'm reminded of the wisdom of a 116-year-old man who, when asked the secret to his longevity, replied, "When it rains, I let it." If you'd like to use that idea of contentment or any other intention for your practice today, you might imagine it like a seed. You allow it to plant itself at your heart center. If you'd like to start to invite some gentle movement now into the body, you can start to windshield wiper the knees from side to side. Maybe planting the feet as wide as your mat, allowing the top knee to float over towards the bottom foot. Maybe you want to send your gaze in the opposite direction as your knees. Allow your breath to cascade down the curve in your spine. You can take one more nice deep breath on each side, and then we'll come into an upside down tabletop. So draw your knees in towards your chest, press your palms up towards the sky. And then from here, you can either stay in this dead bug shape, finding some activation in your core, drawing the belly button towards your spine, or maybe you want to try an upside down bird dog, kicking your left leg long, reaching your right arm past your ear, and then exhale, bring it back to center. Inhale to gently switch sides. Take one more nice deep breath on each side. And when you feel balanced from left to right, you can reach your legs long, reach your arms long, find a long body stretch. Feel the expansion and the space in your spine. And then you can either hug your knees into your chest and start to rock and roll up and down the length of your spine, or go ahead and roll to one side and press yourself up into a seat. Once you arrive in your seat, you can point your knees up towards the sky and plant your feet on the mat. Maybe you want to reach your arms out and just try leaning back for a version of Navasana boat pose. If you want to go a little further, you might sweep your hands behind your thighs and maybe lift one shin, the other shin, or both shins. And then you could even play around with balance, extending your arms. Take a few rounds of breath, discovering whichever version of boat pose is going to work best for you and your body today. When you're ready, you can land your feet. We'll press the palms forward, slide the hands back behind you, underneath your shoulders, and then you can either reach your legs out long to press your hips up into an upside down plank, or walk the heels in and come up into an altar pose. Feel free to play around with either version. Maybe sending your gaze towards your navel, up towards the sky, or allow it to fall behind you if that feels okay for the neck. On the next exhale, go ahead and lower your hips back down. We'll cross the ankles and just find a comfortable seat. You can press your palms into your knees or rest them on your thighs and lengthen through your spine. Gently tuck your chin. Take a moment to close down your eyes and tune your awareness into your breath. Sense the rise and fall of your heart with each breath. And then on the next exhale, you can bow your head down towards your heart. And we'll inhale to sweep the right ear over towards the right shoulder. And maybe you gaze up towards the sky. Exhale, sweep the chin down towards the shoulder, then towards the chest. And we'll inhale, sweep the opposite ear over towards the shoulder, and maybe turn your gaze up towards the sky. Go ahead and explore moving your neck, Following the pace of your own breath, breathing into sensations, noticing where you can soften, where you can relax any holding. Take one more nice deep breath on each side. And then when you're ready, we'll come back to center. You can lift your gaze to center and then either float over the shins or spin the feet around and you can come into a tabletop position. We'll stack the knees underneath the hips, the palms underneath the shoulders, and then you can inhale to drop the belly for cow pose. Exhale to round into the spine for cat. Go ahead and follow the pace of your own breath, taking a few rounds of cat and cow. After a few rounds, you might decide to change it up and explore any other movements here that would feel good in your body. Maybe you want to trace a big circle with the belly button. Imagining you were tracing the inside of a hula hoop. If you're tracing a circle with the belly button, go ahead and reverse the direction when you're ready. As you move your spine, you can marvel at the amazing design of your intricate spine and all the different movements that it can make. You might imagine gratitude bubbling up from the heart center, gently cascading around the curve in your spine. You'll take one more nice deep breath in whichever movement you're making, and then come back to a neutral spine, drawing the belly button towards the spine. On the next exhale, you can turn your gaze past your left shoulder, bending your hip towards your shoulder, and then inhale back to center. Exhale, switch sides. Let's go ahead and take one more nice deep breath on each side. And then we'll meet up in a neutral spine and get ready for either downward dog or child's pose. So you can pick whichever feels right for you today. You're taking child's pose, you might bring the big toes to touch, open the knees up wide, sink the hips back, and walk the hands out in front, lowering your chest and your forehead down to the mat. If you prefer a more active downward dog, that's a great choice as well. You can feel free to sashay your hips a little side to side. Just know that either option is fine, and it's really up to you to choose your own adventure. We'll take one more nice deep breath wherever you're at. And then meet back up in hands and knees. So if you're in your downward dog, you might take a moment to hover your knees over the mat just for a moment, finding a little bit of heat and strengthening. And then softly land your knees From here, you can either stay on the palms of your hands or feel free to come onto forearms if you'd like to give the wrists a little break. From here, we'll slide the right leg back, tuck the toes under, press the heel towards the mat, finding a little bit of lengthening through the back of your calf. Should be very helpful for your hike later. And you could stay right here, or you might gently hover the left knee. So you could press into your palms and lift that knee to hover. That might deepen the stretch, might give you a little bit of core activation as well. On the next exhale, we'll lower that knee down and then switch knees, or switch feet. So you can slide the left leg back behind you, tuck the toes under, press your heel towards the mat. And oh yeah, for your biking, this will be helpful as well. Stretching the calf. Maybe you want to lift that right knee to hover. You're kind of coming up into a plank almost. On the next exhale, you can lower that knee. We'll bring both knees back underneath the hips and then start to walk the knees back. And you're in a plank now on your knees. Maybe you want to tuck one toe under and lift one knee, or you could tuck both toes under and lift both knees. Find whatever version of plank is going to work for you, either on your palms or on your forearms. And whenever you feel ready, you can lower down onto your belly. We'll bring the elbows underneath the shoulders. Press your palms into your mat. You can untuck your legs, glide your legs behind you, or untuck your toes, I should say. And we're coming into Sphinx pose now. So it's a nice back bend. As you press your palms into the mat with your elbows stacked underneath your shoulders, you can lift your heart through your biceps, keeping a soft gaze. On the next exhale, you might turn your gaze past your right shoulder. Inhale back to center. Exhale, turn your gaze past your left shoulder. Inhale back to center, and then we'll exhale to soften down into crocodile pose. So you can stack the palms, allow the back of your forehead to rest on the back of your hands. Soften all of your effort and delight in this time of rest, feeling the back body rise and fall with your breath. It might feel good to bend the knees, gently windshield wiper the heels from side to side. On your next exhale, you can soften the feet back down so the tops of the feet are pressing into the mat. And then we'll slide the arms behind you with the palms face up. You can turn your gaze to the right and soften your left temple towards the mat. On the next inhale, lift your gaze to center, lift your chest, your arms, your legs to come into locust pose. You can take a few rounds of breath here, floating over the earth. And with your inhale, you might sweep the arms forward and exhale to fly them back. Maybe you want to take 2 more rounds like this. And then with your next exhale, you can turn your gaze to the left. Soften your right temple towards the mat. Bring your hands behind you with the palms face up. Just allow yourself a moment to completely soften all of your effort, delighting in this time of rest. Maybe you have a nice stretch going on in the neck. Hopefully it feels okay. If not, you could always bring your head back to center. Take one more nice deep breath here, and then we'll bring the palms underneath the shoulders. And you can gently allow a very light pressure in the hands, lifting the heart for a baby cobra. So really, you could even float your hands here. So you don't really need to push down very much at all. And then exhale, we'll lower the head. You can tuck the toes under and either press up through table, or some might like to press up into plank. That's part of your practice. And then we are going to be meeting in a forward fold. So you can make your way through downward dog. Maybe you want to take a downward dog. Maybe you'd like to skip directly to a forward fold. Take a few rounds of breath in your down dog. And whenever you feel ready, we'll all meet up in a forward fold. You can either walk your feet to your hands or your hands to your feet. And then you might grab hold of opposite elbows and allow yourself a moment to ragdoll here, side to side. Go ahead and shake your head no, releasing that which no longer serves you. And then nod your head yes, inviting in new opportunities. Then you can come back to center, release your hands down. We'll bring the hands to the shins or to the thighs, and you can press into your shins to inhale and lift up halfway into Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. And go ahead and take 2 more rounds. Inhale for halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. One more time. And then you can bend into the knees, sweep the hands up and overhead. Exhale, draw them to the heart center. And let's take 2 more rounds like that. Inhale to sweep the arms. Exhale to draw them to the heart center. And one more time. Now you can release your hands to your sides. We'll open the palms so they're face forward. And then go ahead and take a moment to close down the eyes or soften the gaze and relax for a moment in your mountain pose. Tadasana, allowing the shoulders to melt away from the ears, keeping a soft micro bend in the knees, slightly tucking the tail under to feel a little engagement in the core. And then when you're ready, you can flutter the eyes open. Let's walk to the top of our mats, and you can keep your left foot forward, bring your hands to your hips, and step the right foot back. So maybe you want to stay on the ball of the toe with the heel pointing up, or you can spin the heel down and be in warrior one. So that heel lifted is a little different shape and it can require a little more balance. So I'm going to lower my heel into warrior one. But your feet should be sort of wide set on train tracks so they don't have to line up front to back. And then let's keep our torso pointing forward. And if you'd like, you can inhale to reach the arms up and overhead. finding warrior one or crescent moon. On the next exhale, we'll fly the hands back, lower the torso forward, and then inhale to rise back up to center, warrior one or crescent moon. On the exhale, you can hover once more, flying the hands behind you. And then inhale, we'll rise to center. Let's do one more round like this. Exhale, imagine you've won a race. Reach your heart forward. And then inhale, we'll rise to center. Warrior one. Go ahead and land your back heel if your back heel is lifted. And then from here, we'll reach the hands behind you. You can interlace them at your low back or just grab hold of the back of your shirt. Or you could even just fly them back. And then on the next exhale, allow your torso to come to rest on your front thigh. You can bow your heart for humble warrior. Allowing your gaze to fall back towards your back foot. And maybe you keep your interlaced hands at your low back, or you could reach your arms long, allowing the knuckles to gently fall overhead. On the next inhale, we'll release the hands to the low back and rise back to center for warrior one. On the next exhale, you can bring your hands to your hips and start to step that back foot forward to meet your front. Let's take a moment to shake it all off. Feels so good on the spine. When you're ready, we'll come back to the center, and then you can bring your feet underneath your hips, bring your hands to your hips, and we'll step the left foot back, and you can either stay on the ball of the toe or spin that heel down. Find a nice strong lunge, bending into the front knee, reaching your torso and your heart forward. And then if you'd like, you can reach the arms up and overhead for either crescent moon or warrior one. Lift the heart, lift the gaze. And then with your next exhale, you can fly the hands back as you hover the torso forward. Inhale to rise back up to center. And we'll take that 2 more times. Following the pace of your own breath. The next time we meet up with our arms lifted, you can lower that back heel down. So your toes are at 45-degree angles in the back foot. And then we'll fly the hands behind you. This time, maybe you want to interlace them the awkward way. Take a nice deep breath. And on your exhale, you can allow your torso to come forward and rest on your front thigh, bowing your head for humble warrior. Maybe you float the arms behind you, extending the fingertips overhead without pushing or forcing. You can also just hold on to the back of your shirt would be another option. With your next exhale, soften your hands to your low back. And then we'll inhale to rise to center, reach the arms up and overhead. And then you can bring your hands to your hips and step the back foot forward to meet the front. From here, let's step it out wide. And once more, you can shake it all off. Maybe Exhaling through the mouth. From here, we're going to get ready for a standing balance pose. As I get my balance here on the, find a place that feels not so lumpy. And we're going to come into an eagle pose. So we're going to have a lot of different variations along the way. Let's start out reaching our arms out wide to the sides. You can roll your fingers into a fist and then point your knuckles forward and start to do some head nods with your knuckles. So you're going to lift them up towards the sky and then rotate them down. Just finding a little bit of stretch, hopefully, through the forearms, the wrists. And then we'll spread the fingers out wide. You can bring the right hand over the top of the left. Give yourself a nice big hug. Breathing into the back body. Maybe you want to close the eyes and gently rotate a little side to side. Once more, feel that gratitude bubbling up from your heart center. Practicing Santosha and the joy of being here right now. And then you can either keep your arms in that hug, or you might try wrapping your arms into eagle arms. And then we'll find a dristi. So that's going to be a focal point, maybe on the ground or at the horizon, an unmoving place where you can soften your gaze. And we'll start to bend into the knees to come into a chair pose. Utkatasana. And you can always stay right here, or if you'd like to play around with balance, maybe you want to peel your left heel off of the mat. And you might lift that left leg and bring it to wrap around your right leg. Finding that soft gaze, that dristi, that focal point. With your next exhale, you might draw your elbows towards your knees. And then we'll inhale to release the eagle pose, fly it out, and once more, shake it all off. Then we'll get ready for eagle pose, Garudasana on the other side. So you can start to root down through your feet. Let's open the arms out wide to the sides. And then you can take your left hand this time, wrap it over the top of your right hand. Give yourself a nice big hug. Maybe you want to send the hug to someone special. You might close your eyes, send it out into the universe. And from here, we'll blink the eyes open. You can either leave your arms in a hug, or you can wrap your arms, bringing your right fingertips onto your left hand, or stay with your hug arms. And then we'll come into a chair pose. So you can always stay right here. This is a great strengthening place to be. Or if you'd like to explore balance, you might peel your right heel off of the mat, sending your weight into your left leg. You can always stay right here. Feels like a delicious stretch for the foot. Or you could wrap your leg around. And maybe you can find that dristi, that focal point. It's okay to teeter in and out. Just like the eagle flies, adjusting to your environment. Balance is not a fixed place, but a movement. On the next exhale, you might bring your elbows towards your knees. And then we'll inhale, fly it out, and shake it all off. From here, we'll step back to the front of the mat. And you can inhale to sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, draw them to the heart center. On the next exhale, go ahead and bend into your chair once more, drawing your belly button towards your spine. And then you might inhale to reach your arms past your ears. Exhale, we'll float the hands back, and maybe you want to lift up onto the ball of your toes for drinking bird. Inhale, lower the heels, lift the arms, and you could try that 2 more times. Exhale, release the hands back, maybe float the heels. Inhale, lower the heels, lift the arms, and maybe one more. And on the next inhale, you can rise to center. Exhale, find a forward fold. Inhale for halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. And you can plant your palms, step your feet back to downward dog or child's pose. So take a few rounds of breath in either downward dog or child's pose. Tuning your awareness into your breath. If you're in your downward dog and you'd like to take a little more active stretch, maybe you want to kick one heel behind you for three-legged dog. You could always draw that knee in towards the nose to come forward to hover into a plank. And then maybe you want to switch sides. After that last three-legged dog, we're going to be meeting up in tabletop. So once more, if you'd like to, you can hover the knees over the mat. Find a little bit of strength building there. And then we'll come to hands and knees and walk the knees wide. We're going to come into thread the needle next. So there's lots of different variations of this pose, but it's going to be a little bit easier with your knees wide, like child's pose. So we'll inhale to sweep the right arm up towards the sky, any amount. And then on the exhale, you can weave that right hand underneath the body, come to rest on your shoulder, and you can keep your left hand anchored for support here. Or if you like any other variation, you can always feel free to explore that. Remember that each of our poses are infinite, and our place within them is going to change from day to day. It can also change from side to side. Can we cultivate compassion and curiosity for where we're at today? Take one more nice deep breath here. And then you can press that left hand into the mat. We'll come back up to our wide kneed tabletop. Oh, actually, yes, after you open the chest. And then you can plant the right palm and we'll switch sides. Inhale the left arm up towards the sky, opening the heart. And then exhale, weave the hand under the body, coming into your thread the needle, allowing your temple to rest. It might feel good to continue to support your weight here with your right palm. But feel free to explore any other variation with that right hand. Allow the breath to cascade down the curve in your spine. Take another nice deep breath here. And then when you're ready, you can plant the palm, press yourself back up into a seat, or sorry, to hands and knees. And then we'll walk the knees forward so you can come onto your seat. And then from here, you can bring the soles of the feet to touch, open the knees up wide, and then we'll inhale to lengthen the spine and exhale to fold forward any amount. So you might start to hinge at the hips and start with a flat back, and maybe you don't have to go very far to feel sensation. As you begin to ease into the pose by tuning your awareness into your breath and sensation, you might just try finding 1 millimeter more of space. And then maybe at some point, you decide to round your spine, allowing your head to melt towards your feet. Take one more nice deep breath wherever you're at. And then on your next inhale, we'll rise to center. You can extend your right leg out, bring your left foot to your inner thigh, and then turn to face your cute little right foot. And give it a wave, wiggle your toes, send your foot all the love and gratitude that you can imagine, and then start to hinge from the hips, and you can fold over that leg, melting your head towards your knee. You might frame your front shin with your hands, or maybe you want to reach out for your toes or your shin, anywhere your hands land. It's right where you need to be. We'll take one more nice deep breath here. And then you can rise to center, square your torso forward, allow your right hand to rest on your right leg. And then we'll inhale to sweep the left arm up towards the sky. And you can start to hinge from the hips as you slide that right arm down the right leg and arch the left hand up and overhead. Maybe you turn your gaze up towards the sky, and your lifted hand could feel nice for the neck to start to lower the gaze down towards the foot. And maybe with your inhale, you lift and exhale, lower. On the next inhale, we'll lift both arms up towards the sky, reach it up tall, and then exhale, we're going to take a twist, bringing your right hand down to your left knee and sweeping your left hand behind you. You might even allow it to rest on your low back or reach it towards your right thigh, or you can plant your fingertips on the ground behind you for a little leverage. Sweeping your gaze behind your left shoulder. On the next exhale, you can bow just the gaze down towards the heart. Sweep your chin towards your chest, and then turn your gaze over your right shoulder, towards your right toes. On the next inhale, we'll release that side And then you can switch legs, extending the left leg, bringing the right foot to the inner thigh. You can turn to face your right toes, give them a little wiggle, send them a little wave, gratitude for all they do for you. And then from the hips, you can start to hinge and lean your chest forward, reaching your heart towards your knee, walking your hands to frame your front shin, or reaching towards your ankle or your feet. With each inhale, you might lengthen through your spine, and exhale, allow yourself to melt a little bit further forward. On the next inhale, we'll rise to center, and you can extend your left arm onto your left leg, and then we'll inhale to sweep the right arm up towards the sky, and then you can start to hinge from the hips, gliding your arm down your leg. Maybe you send your gaze up towards your fingertips as you arch your right arm overhead. On your exhale, you can turn your gaze down towards your foot or your leg. And maybe you want to try those gentle head shakes. Inhaling to lift, exhaling to lower. The next time your gaze is lifted up towards the sky, we'll inhale to reach the arms up and overhead, and then exhale to find that twist, bringing the left hand onto the right knee, and maybe wrapping the right hand around behind you, or you could tent the fingertips onto the ground for a little leverage. Sending your gaze behind your shoulder. You might gently observe beauty around you in this present moment. And then exhale, you can bow your head towards your heart. Allow your chin to form a semicircle above your chest, and then turn just your gaze behind your left shoulder. Maybe gazing down at your left foot. And then we'll inhale to release that. Let's plant the feet on the mat in front of you. With your knees pointing up towards the sky, you can reach the arms out in front and then gently start to lower down onto your back. And you might just pause for a moment. And whenever you feel ready, you can roll onto your back, hug your knees in towards your chest, and then bring your knees towards your armpits. As you press your feet up towards the sky, you can find happy baby pose, either reaching for your shins, your ankles, or your feet. And just allow yourself a moment to rock from side to side, finding a gentle massage on your spine. And if there are any last shapes that you would like to make before your final resting pose, you're welcome to explore those now. If you're ready for your Shavasana, your final rest, you're welcome to come back to the initial shape we started in, constructive rest pose, or you can extend your legs out long, rest your arms at your sides. Allow your gaze to soften or close down the eyes for Shavasana. Allow yourself to soften here, smoothing out the forehead, relaxing the eyelids, softening the hinge of the jaw, allowing the shoulders to melt heavy on the earth. Notice the earth rising to support you. Feel the hug from the universe in the form of gravity. And then notice that amazingly unique shape, your body resting on the earth, your own impression like no other. And for the next few moments, see about practicing Santosha contentment. You can allow the next quote from the book to just wash over you, allowing the words to land wherever they may. She says, the jewel of Santosha invites us into contentment by taking refuge in a calm center and opening our hearts in gratitude for what we have. Allow yourself a moment to deepen your breath, imagining you have a bubble machine at your heart center, and allow it to generate little bubbles of gratitude for your body, for carving out this special time and place for the opportunity to be alive and here today in this unique time and place. Once your little gratitude bubbles start to reach your toes and your fingers, you can start to wiggle them, gently rotating your wrists and your ankles. And then find a long body stretch, reaching your arms past your ears, maybe stretching your legs long. And whenever you feel ready, you can roll onto one side, finding a fetal position. You might pause there before making your way to a comfortable seat. Once you arrive in your seat, you might invite your hands to meet at your heart center. On your next exhale, you can gently allow your head to bow towards the wisdom of your loving heart. Such an honor and a privilege to guide you through your practice this morning. Thank you, everyone, so much for being here and joining me. Namaste. My name's Micki. If you have any questions or thoughts about class, feel free to let me know.